What's up everyone, how's it going? This is Waj, and in this video we're doing a direct head-to-head laptop comparison between the all-new 2015 version of the Google Chromebook Pixel versus the latest generation of the Macbook Air. Now, even though both computers are running on different platforms, Chrome OS on the Pixel and Mac OS X on the Macbook Air, there are quite a bit of similarities when it comes to the overall hardware and experience that you get with both of these portable laptops. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the major differences between these two computers to determine which machine is the ultimate endurance web browsing machine. Now, physically, the MacBook Air actually has a larger overall footprint than the Google Chromebook Pixel. It's both wider and taller than the Pixel. And in terms of thickness, we're looking at its thickest point, the MacBook Air measures about 17 millimeters versus the Google Chromebook Pixel is very thin at only 15.3 millimeters. And in terms of weight, the MacBook Air is still lighter at just under 3 pounds versus 3.3 pounds on the Pixel. Furthermore, in terms of the build quality and design, they're a little bit different in terms of the overall design philosophy. The MacBook Air is certainly a little bit more wedge shaped. It has a sharper overall corners, although not too sharp, versus the Chromebook Pixel has a very nice kind of rounded off slab design, very symmetrical and very, very elegant. And they're both made out of similar materials. Both have an aluminum unibody construction with a fantastic overall fit and finish. Now here finally we get to some major differences between the two, and that's certainly regarding the ports and connectivity options. The MacBook Air is very similar to previous generation Air models, with the exception that now you have Thunderbolt 2.0 connections, so that means data transferring speed up to 20 gigabits per second if you have a Thunderbolt 2 enabled device. We also have two USB 3 connections, SD card slot, a full-size headphone jack, and the magnetic MagSafe 2 connection. Now for a very simple laptop, surprisingly, we have quite a bit of connectivity options on the Pixel. Mainly, we have a brand new USB Type-C connection, and we have that connection on both sides. And one of the cool things about USB Type-C is that it serves multiple different functions. Firstly, you can use it to charge your laptop, and actually has fast charging capabilities. We can use it as a display connection for both HDMI and DisplayPort standards, as well as fast data transferring up to 5 gigabits per second. Additionally, we also have two USB 3.0 connections. That's the standard Type A format, as well as an SD card slot and a headphone jack. In terms of webcams, both PCs have a 720p HD front-facing webcam, which is great if you do a lot of video conferencing and stuff like that. Now, moving right along, one of the major differences between these two is certainly the displays. Now, the Google Chromebook Pixel has an absolutely outstanding display. In terms of dimensions, it measures about 12.85 inches. It's a full LED lit IPS display, so the color rendition and overall viewing angles are quite amazing. In fact, you can see the shift that we get from the standard non-IPS display on the MacBook Air. You can see how much it shifts towards different colors, and it distorts the overall image. It decreases saturation as well as the brightness and contrast of an image when you're looking at it from the side, versus the Chromebook Pixel is very consistent throughout its viewing profile range up to 178 degrees. In terms of resolution, again, a massive difference between the two. We have a 2560 by 1700 display on the Pixel, so incredibly sharp, incredibly dense, and it's also very bright at around 400 CDM square. So in terms of the viewing experience, one of the big things that you get from the Pixel is an absolutely breathtaking display that even gives the MacBook Pro Retina Edition a good run for its money. Now, internally, they're both using very similar CPU architectures. Both are using Intel 5th generation Core i5 CPUs that are clocked a little bit differently. We have a higher overall clock speed on the Google Chromebook Pixel, and we also have more RAM at 8 gigabytes of RAM versus 4 gigabytes of RAM on the Air. And to illustrate the difference between the two from a specification standpoint as well as a user experience standpoint, what we're going to do is just basically boot up both computers from a completely shutdown state. So we're going to press the power buttons on both at the same time, and as you can see, we pretty much get into the OS on the Pixel very fast, just basically around 5-second mark, versus it takes around 14 to 15 seconds to get up to the sign-on screen on the MacBook Air, which is certainly not bad, but completely annihilated by the astonishing time of what the Google Chromebook Pixel can boot up at. Now, that being said, the MacBook Air is no slowpoke. Basically, in terms of the internal memory capacity, we're looking at 128 gig of PCIe-based memory, and it's a faster memory module that runs at 4x. And to test the performance, we're basically going to take a 1 gigabyte video file from a USB thumb drive and just load it onto the computers. And it takes just about 4.5 seconds to complete that transfer on the MacBook Air versus takes about 10 seconds to complete that transfer on the Pixel. So in terms of data transferring, the MacBook Air is certainly heads and shoulders above what the Pixel can do. Now, in order to further evaluate the speed differences between the two, since the Chromebook Pixel is really designed for browsing in mind, we're going to do some browsing-based benchmarks. The first thing that we're going to take a look at is a piece of benchmarking software called Peacekeeper, which is going to test our browser performance on these two machines. Now, we're basically going to run both Safari and Chrome on the MacBook Air so we can get a result on both of them. But taking a look at the results themselves, you get about 4,600 points on the Pixel versus using the Safari browser, we get about just over 4,400 on the Air. And if we use the Chrome browser, we get just over 4,100. So the Chrome browser is a little bit slower on the MacBook Air compared to the Pixel browser. And another test that we're going to do is take a look at the JavaScript performance on both machines. And to do that, we're going to use a piece of software called Octane version 2. And take a look at the results over here. We get a score of just under 25,000 on the Pixel versus about just under 18,000 on the Safari browser on the MacBook Air. If we use the Chrome browser, our speed on the Air gets up to 22,000. So in most cases, looks like the Pixel is a little bit faster in terms of the JavaScript performance and just the general web browsing experience. And to show you guys a more real world difference between the web browsing capabilities, we're just going to load up a couple of different websites that you would visit on a day-to-day basis and just see which one loads up quicker. And as you've just seen, pretty much in every case, the Pixel wipes the floor in terms of the web browsing performance compared to the MacBook Air, even though the Air is very passable as a general computing experience. But the Chromebook Pixel is really in a league of its own when you're looking at it from a web browsing experience. And keep in mind that both computers were using the same exact Wi-Fi connections. They were both using a 5 gigahertz bandwidth. And in basically that identical scenario, the Pixel wins every time. Now, the very last thing that we're going to talk about is probably one of the most standout features about both computers, and that's the battery performance. Both get up to 12 hours of wireless web, and based on my independent scores after using both computers for a couple of days now, I basically average around 12 hour 15 minutes to 12 hour 20 minutes on both computers, using about 25% screen brightness and just doing some really light web browsing with the Bluetooth off. So it really looks like if you need a laptop that lasts pretty much all day without any hiccups, without any problems, and even with really heavy duty usage, I'm sure you'll be able to get no problem throughout the entire 8-hour workday without having to plug in. One of the cool things about the Pixel is that it has fast charging capabilities. So from 0 to 100%, it only takes about 80 minutes to completely charge the device versus it takes about 2 to 3 times as long on the MacBook Air. And another cool thing about the Pixel is that if you close down the lid and tap on the LED lights on the top lid, you get an indication of how much juice is left on your battery. Pretty cool and neat integration there. But in either case, the MacBook Air is certainly more of a capable machine. It has a much more fully functional operating system that is a lot more powerful and robust compared to the Chrome OS that you find in the Pixel. But if you really need the ultimate web browsing tool and machine, the Pixel is really unmatched matched in terms of its horsepower and capabilities from a web browsing standpoint. But really, other than that, that's really it. Make sure to leave a comment down below on what you guys think of the Google Chromebook Pixel. Do you think it has a chance up against a regular laptop, and would you even consider getting it? Definitely love to hear all your thoughts and opinions. Definitely check out the other comparisons we've done on our channel. We've actually done quite a bit of laptop comparisons, and we have more to come with all these new laptops coming out. Pretty cool and exciting time if you're in the market for a new laptop, and you definitely want to check out our channel if you need more information about the latest and greatest laptops that are available out there. But thanks so much for watching again, and we'll see you later. Take care.